Hey there everyone, welcome to another episode of Hanging with the Heathens, the place where we love to drink, talk shit, and talk about Norse paganism most importantly. What's on the menu tonight, boys? I'm still on the same thing from 2 weeks ago because of my offering that I'm doing, so I'm on Akasha beer, I think that's how you pronounce it, the IPA.
I'm on Malibu and creaming soda.
Drinking Shinerbach. Text.
Mead.
Yeah, ride
Mead.
Mjord.
Mead.
Mead.
Honey apple wine with hops added. Product of Denmark.
Product
I
of
almost
Denmark.
grabbed some. I almost grabbed some today, but then I was like, I don't want to spend $30 on a bottle. It's gonna last me like
it's
half an hour.
So we got an interesting topic today. We're going to be talking a lot about occurrences in nature, so I'll get Puck to start us off. What do you have for us, Puck?
Yeah, so just like you said, we're going to talk about things that may or may not have been brought up by the ancestors or in the sagas or in any of the Eddas that when you read them, they kind of definitely come out and go, that sounds like something that you might hear about in like science class or something, and it kind of poses the question of how the hell did these people know this, thousands of years ago, and then we've only discovered it or rediscovered it recently in more modern times. I think it's kind of something like you had an example of the ozone layer.
Yeah,
Alex?
so I think it was, if I'm remembering correctly, there was
A shield.
the shield in the sky. Let me go find it. So, it's in one of the Norse stories in the book Norse mythology. I can't remember which stories exactly, but yeah, there's a shield in the sky. They say that it stops the sun from basically burning down all of Midgard.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was so amazing to me when I saw it. I was like, a shield in the sky that stops the world from burning. Isn't that the ozone layer?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, it literally stops us from burning to a crisp. It's, any less ozone layer, or like a significantly less ozone layer, and, plants wouldn't be able to live. So, like, I was amazed by it. Like, that's crazy that they thought about that.
Yeah. The thing I want to bring up too is obviously a big feature in our Norse folklore is Bifrost. It's the rainbow bridge that the Aesir used to travel from Asgard to the other 9 realms. I've heard a lot of people say that it could, it could be actual rainbows. So when you see like an actual rainbow, that's the gods traveling, from Asgard. And I've also heard people say that the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis, could also be Bifrost as well.
That's the thing that I always thought of whenever I heard anything about the Bifrost or anything. Is like the first thing that clicked in my mind was like when you think about Scandinavia being up there, some parts of Scandinavia are basically almost in the Arctic Circle, right? So, and the Northern Lights can travel, significantly far south depending on conditions or whatever. So it wouldn't be outrageous for somebody to see it, because it would be a common thing and associate it with, or who knows, maybe it is or something we don't know.
Yeah, crazy all these different things, especially another good one that a lot of people bring up would be like Thor and Thunder. It's like there's Thor banging his hammer. It's like, again, it's like there's the modern terminology for it, but it's, and obviously it's like I wouldn't say that people discovered thunder, like it's pretty hard to miss.
Yeah.
But it's like that's what they had at the time, but it also relates to the stories, which is good.
Thor beating up,
but also
frost giants.
And frost giants, yeah.
But also, if you think about it too, is like when you think about like significance of like thunderstorms and things like that, like especially when we think about our ancestors being like big farmers and things like that. So like a good thunderstorm would be like, oh, Thor's here. Thor's being the defender or the protector or the friend to Midgard, to humans, and now we've got this rain that's bringing up our crops,
Helping our plants grow.
and exactly, and that'd be a huge thing. So you make an offering, and next thing you know, it's like boom, thunder and rain, and now your crops getting watered, and you're like, oh shit, like Thor's here. And then also, I mean, everybody can admit that like when you're in a good thunderstorm, like there's like this like
You feel good.
Calming.
this
Yeah.
static feeling, right?
You
yeah,
feel
like,
good, yeah.
I get told at work all the time. It's like, oh, Alex, stop being so depressed. Get out of the rain. I'm just like, I am as happy as I could be right now.
Oh yeah, when I was a kid, it was like, man, it started raining. Me, my buddies would be like,
Yeah. Like there's
in,
something
like,
about
shorts, like running around in the rain.
Oh,
And
yeah.
do you ever guys ever feel like when there is like a thunderstorm, it's easier to like fall asleep and sleep with like when there's a thunderstorm?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's almost like kind of relaxing.
Hell yeah.
So the entire time I was in Germany, I used to listen to a YouTube video that was like 10 hours of like thunderstorm sounds on a loop.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that shit would put me out. When you're sleeping with like 50 other dudes that all snore and fucking whatever, like all night, or talk to their girlfriends, you're like, I need something to put me out.
Yeah, I love the switch between thunderstorm sounds and underwater whale noises.
Mm.
Yeah, until you get those ones that are like over the top.
Yeah.
I bought my mom a CD for fucking Mother's Day or something one year, and like it was like calming sounds to sleep to. And one was like the rainforest, and it was like fucking howler monkeys. Like, what the fuck? It was like $5.
So,
well, like, or like I was gonna say, like, sorry to cut you off.
Nah, you're good,
Get
man.
back on topic, but it was like I brought up before we started was like, there's things that you can even see like, any sailors or anything like that, before they go out to sea, like, if there was like rough tides or rough seas, they'd I'm sure they would assume that Jormungandr was thrashing, or Njord or Aegir or Ron were pissed about something, or they didn't make a good enough offering, or they offended them somehow, like
Didn't they also have the signs in the sky as well? Like, was it blue sky in the morning?
What red skies at night, sailor's delight. Blue skies
blue sky
red
in the
skies
morning.
Yeah,
Sailors take
I think
warning. Red
warning.
skies in the morning. Sailors take warning. Yeah, something like
yeah.
that. They got
Yeah.
Who knows how long that's been a thing? There's a lot of things that we use as just like common sayings.
Yeah.
They have really far back origins.
So
I still use that one over here. Like if the sky's red in the morning, it's gonna rain that day, and it does.
Yeah.
And I'm like, woo.
Yeah.
yeah. So
exactly.
so I wanted to bring up, and I'm probably dropping Cody in it because we were only literally just talking about it a couple of days ago. But the sun wheel, the sun cross, is
Ooh.
actually a naturally occurring thing in nature. From what I understand, it's pretty rare, but it's got to do with like ice crystals in the upper atmosphere, and it makes that perfect like circle with the cross in the middle with the sun rays.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you see like the halo, like halo and glow, like everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing, and I shared it with you, and I still have to do more research with it. Oh shit! Look at that!
Did you see one?
That's insane. No, I just was scrolling through freaking Instagram one day, and it showed up as like one of the nature reels, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
I was gonna say, being up in Colorado, I'm surprised you don't like get that often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I'm thinking like if you're 1,000 years ago and you're up in the icy snowy part of the world and you see something like that with this like sun wheel, sun cross, I'm like, you're gonna think that's pretty special and you're gonna associate some level of importance with that.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, especially with how rare it actually happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of things to go on in nature. It's like, especially like how much nature actually transforms into a lot of the stuff that we actually build these days as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Exactly.
Well,
go on, Puck, go on.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, and I think that's why it's important for people to realize, like, nature in the modern world can kind of get shoved to the side or put on the back burner. You know,
Mm.
especially when it comes down to like having an explanation for everything. People need explanations for everything, and I find myself sometimes where I'm like, I want to know. I don't want to like. I can't leave
Sometimes-
anything up to just like, oh, it just happens. Like, but sometimes you need to like remind yourself, like, man, you know, back in the day, like, you know, shit happened, and people just like, well,
Yeah, sometimes you don't know.
maybe this is, maybe it isn't. Like, but I like
So,
this.
Mm.
so I don't want to go on to a big tangent because I know personally me and Cody could go on about this for hours and hours. But I personally think that at some point in the past there was some kind of ancient civilization that we don't know about that was pretty advanced, and that something happened, and it's gone now, and we had to like rebuild. Because there's like been like archaeological finds of like, hey, we found this like crystalline rock with a hole in it, and the only possible way that they could have got a hole in it is if someone like used like a drill. But this thing is from like 4,000 years ago.
Will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's so much of that.
You've been playing too much Assassin's Creed.
no, but like,
No,
and then like if you like not, I'm kind of straying away from like the Norse pagan kind of thing, but like if you look at like the pyramids and stuff, like there's so much about those fucking like things that we don't know about and can't explain.
I mean,
that's why I believe that.
Like we talk about all the time is like, especially with our ancestors and stuff, like written history is a relatively new thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And history is written by the victor. So, who knows? Like, I mean,
History's written by the victor, which is why
millennia
we
of
don't
shit.
have
Like,
shit to go on for our religion.
Yeah.
That's why we don't have a Bible. We don't have priests telling us what to talk about. We don't have stuff like that.
Exactly.
But yeah,
and that's why there's no exact set way to do things either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think there was some kind of ancient civilization. No, don't go on about roles there, Puck.
I got enough rolls from the 5 tacos.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely think there was some kind of ancient civilization and something happened. Maybe Ragnarok happened. Who knows?
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
I was going to mention that. That's my theory behind it all. I believe that Ragnarok has already happened. I believe that it's just a repeating cycle. You know, you kind of just it's almost like a spin the wheel once everything kind of collapses.
Well, there's a lot of religions that believe the exact same thing.
Yeah, like the Hindus.
Yep.
Yeah, they have that like big thing where it's like everything goes in like what is it like
the yugas?
The yugas, yeah, that's like a 4,000 year cycle or some shit.
It's like a 500,000 year cycle.
500,000 year cycle, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Slight difference.
I was close.
But that's the thing too is like it is like and I know we're getting a little off topic, but like there's where does the lore come from? Where does people had to have existed at one point?
Yeah, exactly.
For the lore to come from, so it's like who knows? And I mean, I've even heard theories where people said, like when you start reading into things, like it's not outside the realm of possibility for like humans and Jotuns, right? Somebody said they had a theory that Jotuns may have been like the remnants of like Neanderthals, or something like that, because nothing said that they were. No, there was nothing that said that they were like not necessarily. I mean, there are things that say they were bigger, but not all Jotuns were like
not
giant
like
in size,
giants.
right?
They I think they may have been a bit bigger, but then there's people who have like archaeologists.
Well, I mean, then there's a story of Thor and Loki and fucking old boy living in a fucking glove.
Yeah,
or spending the night in a glove, and that's obviously like huge fucking size, but like
yeah, but not all of them are going to be like that because there's
Right.
I can't remember where it was or what the circumstances were, but like these people found this like footprint, and they like did like a
oh
cast.
yeah, it's like
They did like
on
a
the wall
cast
or
of it.
something.
Yeah, they did like a cast of it, and this footprint was like 4 foot long and like half a foot wide.
Yeah, it's like almost as tall as a person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was like in the shape of like a not exactly like like detail for detail, but it was like in the general shape of like a humanoid foot.
Mm.
And they're like, were giants real? Because we don't know what creature this came from.
It's a government cover up.
You want to go really off topic?
I mean, we're already there.
We're already there.
So, once you guys get to it, Mr. Ballin has an episode up on YouTube
Mr. Ball.
about this like Green Beret that go out in the mountains of Afghanistan.
And they find that giant in the fucking in the mountains of Afghanistan. Yeah, and then they take him away.
Yes. Yeah.
I think I've seen
Literally
something.
a giant.
Yeah, there was like these
about
dudes,
that. Yeah.
These dudes in Afghanistan went up to go find this missing unit, and they went up in the mountains and they started seeing all this like gear and bones and shit. And they went into this cave, and all of a sudden, this thing, like the spear, comes flying out of the darkness, kills one of their guys. So they're like, "What the fuck?" And this like 10, 15 foot fucking tall guy jumps out of the fucking shit and starts like trying to fight him, and they kill his ass. And then these helicopters come, pick the guys up, pick up the thing, and the helicopters go separate directions. And they're like, "Look," the government was like, "You can't fucking tell anybody."
Yeah. That's crazy.
Well,
I did hear something about that.
I'm just going to touch on the Jotun. It's like Oxford Dictionary doesn't have a definition of what Jotun means, but the Collins Dictionary does. I don't know how reliable it is, but like as far like this is the way I see it as well. But it literally means in Norse mythology, any of the giants. So it's like,
Yeah.
what is giant to us? Like if I was to walk in public and someone 7 foot tall walked past me, I'd be like, damn, they giant.
Yeah.
You know? Someone's like, someone's been going to the gym 5 years more than me, and they're huge. I'd be like, damn, he's giant. Like, what is giant to you?
Well, it's like, what's that? I can't remember what country it is. There's a tribe of people that are just genetically, they're just fucking tall, they're very tall people.
Yeah.
And if you took them and you took them to like another country where the average height may be shorter, then it's like they're like twice the height of fucking people. And you go back to when if you traveled 200 miles away from your home, and now you're like, who the fuck are these? Everything's so different. Everything's so alien here. Like,
Yeah.
if you brought somebody like that there, people would be like Yao Ming, the basketball player.
Yeah.
Fucking,
So,
like, people would be like,
a good
what
example
the
of that
fuck?
would be like a good
Well,
example of that would be if you were to compare Mongolians to the Chinese. Just
Yeah.
the stature difference between the two of them is just insane.
Oh yeah.
Imagine if you were like living in like some village and like Shaq rocked up, like Shaquille O'Neal rocked up, and he was like,
Dude,
"What's up?"
imagine if you were just nowadays like at McDonald's and fucking Shaq wanted to be.
Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
Like,
hello,
so
sir.
my mate Tristan, right? Currently Aussie Jar Jar Binks in the Animal Speaking.
Yeah.
He's tall. He's taller than me. I think from memory he's 6 foot. He's either 6'3" or 6'4".
Yeah.
So it's like, walking next to me, I was just like, damn, this guy's tall. We went on a holiday one time and we were like, what the hell? Tristan looks like he's a normal height person next to this like 7'2" guy that he's talking to in the pub.
Yeah. well, look at our mate Jotun.
Yeah, Jotun's tall.
Jotun's a fucking big dude.
We call him Jotun for a reason.
Yeah, he's like 6'5" and like 120 kilos.
Hey,
He's a fucking big unit.
yeah, he's a unit. That's for damn sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next thing we wanted to talk about on the nature stuff was animals with the gods. There's a lot of animal interactions with the gods throughout the stories and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, just look at Freya and the cats that pull a chariot. You know, like,
I and this one can get really tricky too because when it comes to all the animals, ravens for instance, you get the guys over there. I saw a raven today. I think it was Odin. It's a
Yeah,
lot of things that.
it can, and I think like we say, not every raven you see is like a son of Odin. Not every like cat you see is Freya. But like for example, Anthony, my Norse pagan journey, he was at work the other day, and me and Cody were on the voice chat with him, and outside his window he saw a cat, and we were just joking around, and Anthony was like, "Oh, I wonder if it's Freya." And then the cat looked like as soon as he said that, the cat turned around and looked straight at him.
Yep.
And Anthony's like, "Look, it might have just been a cat, but I felt Freya in that moment." So I think yeah, like not every raven is going to be Odin, but I think you'll know when it is a sign.
So that's
Well, yeah, it definitely has to do with like. Yeah, and it has to do with like the time and the feeling. They'll be like fucking.
So we get a lot of crows here.
I was scratching my ass and I saw fucking 2 ravens.
It's like
Yeah.
It must be Odin watching me scratch my ass.
We get a lot of crows here, and like one of the boys at work, he jokes around with me, and he's like, we'll be walking back to the cars after work or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, there's a raven, like Odin's watching you, woo!" And I'm just like, "That's a crow."
That's a crow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, "How can you tell like the size difference, the fact they make different sounds, like
ravens are bigger.
Ravens are big. Like we do have ravens, but they're not as common as crows here. But like
I've never seen a raven.
It is rare to see a raven here.
I was gonna say I've never seen a raven here.
Are different too.
The only thing I've seen that would be kind of like, and even then they're still a bit smaller. The only thing I've seen that's like bigger than a crow is like a currawong.
Yeah, it's like the difference is like they'll be saying it like as it's chirping or whatever, and I'm just like, and I'm pretty sure I'm right on this. Whereas like the ravens sort of make that sort of like gargly croak noise.
Yeah, they croak a lot.
They say ravens really call, and crows call.
Yeah, crows are like.
Yeah, it's really deep. It's almost like
What is going on right now?
King of the fucking jungle.
Tookie.
Yeah.
But also, ravens have that curved beak, right? And their tail is. I think
it's rounded, right?
Tail, but there's a difference in the tail. I believe so. Yeah.
One of them's squared off. One of them's rounded. I can't remember which is.
Yeah.
Ravens are.
Exactly.
Ravens are fucking huge compared to crows.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
they're
absolutely.
big.
Like what's it
called?
Crow
looks more like a pigeon almost.
Yeah.
All the bird watchers are like these fucking idiots.
Yeah, I'm probably completely on everything.
Actually, let me tell you about the blue-headed agitated tit.
Because
it sounds like a feminist.
Yeah, right.
No, what's it called? We have with the crows though, it's like there's so many of them here, but
yeah.
At the same time, I'm very surprised that they're actually a different relation to the magpie here. It's like because they have so many similar traits. Like they have the same body structure in terms of like head to beak ratio, body to head ratio, wingspan ratio, like all that. The only difference is a crow won't swoop near his nest. A crow will just be like, bro, my nest is like 50 meters away. I don't care. But then, it's like they also have the same memory thing. The thing I love about magpies and crows is
they have memory.
Yeah, they remember faces, which is sick because it's like
they remember.
Everyone complains about oh, this magpie swooped me.
Feed it.
Feed it. If you have a magpie on your street and it's swooping you, go out with like chopped up sausages or something,
and just feed it.
And just feed it, and then for the next 5 years, it knows who you are. Like for every time it sees your face for the next 5 years, like 5 years after it sees your face, it will remember your face.
Yeah.
And the best thing about both crows and magpies is they teach their young based on how they see you, how the young should react to it. So if you just walk underneath a magpie's nest and the young sees you doing that as well, and you've never fed it or done anything for it, It'll be like, I don't know this guy. He, mum swoops him. I'll swoop him. You feed him. The young's gonna be like, cool guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's mad.
Yeah. Well, now that we have got an extensive biological profile on magpies.
I know it's not related to Norse stories whatsoever. I've never seen a magpie related in a Norse story.
Can you imagine that? Odin just got like swooped by a magpie, and he was like, "You fucking
God." That's the thing though. Like, I think because we do get a lot of people, especially in the discords, we're in there like asking about, what animals are associated with this god? What animals are associated with this goddess or something? And it's like, oh, what? But then you get people that are like, what god's associated with like fucking
a camel?
Name an animal. Yeah, what gods are associated with a camel? It's like
I'm really into.
There are animals associated with gods. There
is the gods that's associated with a camel also associated with the humpback whale?
Yeah. Hey. There you go.
But at the same
or
time,
the humpback of Notre Dame.
Like I'm really I'm really a big fan of the eastern grey kangaroo. What deity is associated with the eastern grey kangaroo?
I think it'd be,
Thor.
One that jumps.
I reckon Thor would like kangaroos.
Yeah, the Marvel version of Thor where he just like jumps up in the sky. Yeah.
I feel like Thor. I feel like
Chris
Thor would
Hemsworth
be
is from
associated
Australia.
with Big Red. Not
Big
the
Red,
fucking Red.
he would.
Big Red's a tank.
Because and also you got like the red beard, red kangaroo.
See?
Yeah.
Oh. No, so we got obviously Odin got ravens.
And wolves.
And wolves.
Gary and Frankie.
Yep.
Gary and Frankie.
Which I think is interesting for a second. Wait, no, I think that's very interesting. I only just thought about this. He's got the two wolves, Gary and Frecky, right?
Yeah.
But he's in his like fate. He's like, you'll be killed by a wolf, and that's why he does everything he does to Fenrir.
Yeah, he says that they're not wolves in Asgard.
But he's got these two wolves. How does he know that? Like, Gary and Frecky aren't gonna bite the hands that feed him, kind of thing,
Those are his boys.
Maybe that's why he fed them so much.
Were they mentioned in any other stories after that story?
I don't think so. Because all it says is that
I think he's done it under the rug. He's just gone.
He's just like release the hounds,
shoot the dogs.
Oh.
Yeah, but like because it says that he doesn't drink and Odin doesn't drink. Odin only drinks and he gives all his food to the two twin wolves, Gary and Frecky.
Yep.
But he's got this big thing in his future that he's gonna get killed by a wolf.
So what's crazy though is
I just thought it was interesting.
It is, and what I always kind of double back to is you always get people that are really fixated on wolves and ravens, and not so much cats, falcons, or boars or rams.
Here's an interesting one.
What about Sleipnir? Why doesn't Sleipnir get any love?
Everybody loves fucking. There's people that worship Jormungandr. There's people that worship fucking Fenrir.
Dude,
there's people that
like me.
worship Hell.
I'm
and Sleipnir's, everybody's like, fuck.
Yeah, what about Sleipnir? What about Loki's actual children that he had with Sigyn?
Yeah, it's like the animals I don't want to say identify with the most, but it's like the ones that say I see the most in dreams and stuff like that are bears and orcas.
Yeah.
Bears
we can tie into berserkers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and also, okay, so for instance, people would say, whoa, like we said, like, what gods associated with camels? Like, well, they didn't fucking have those in the north, so
yeah, none.
What? Like,
exactly.
What gods? Fucking fuck out of here.
It's like I said, what gods associated with the eastern grey kangaroo? Like.
Steve.
Yeah, Steve.
There probably is one somewhere.
That
Just
guy.
just not in our faith.
I did see a. So I
The
did see
god
a.
of biscuits.
I know I did see a funny thing. You know, like in the Loki TV show, how they had like alligator Loki.
Oh, I loved Alligator Loki.
Yeah, I saw a thing where it was just like in the universe where alligator Loki comes from, Steve Irwin is Thor.
I can see it.
Yeah.
What a guy. What else?
What
we
Apparently,
got
they
there?
made a comic book of that shit.
Yeah.
Alligator Loki?
Yeah.
I'd believe it.
What else have we got there? We got Thor and his goats. So it's like, you know, when you're giving the offerings to Thor, it's good to give him meat so he doesn't, you know, if he happens to be starving that night, he doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to eat his goats. Yeah.
Well, you can eat the goats, just don't break their bones.
Don't break the bones. Exactly.
Bones.
We've got Gull and Bursty, the golden bristled boar
Yep. For fucking prayer.
for Freya. We've got Freya's cats.
Where's cats?
Um.
Was it Falcon or?
Yes, she has the
Falcon, but
she has the Falcon cloak.
So there's a squirrel that runs up. The squirrel that runs up Yggdrasil.
Ratatosk.
Yeah, Ratatosk, which spreads secrets. Which, you know.
Talk shit.
Mean, we don't really have squirrels here. We got possums instead. But, you know, they always look like they always look like they're looking for someone to, you know, gossip with.
I like possums though, man.
Possums are sick. They're cute.
Yeah.
Possums' body temperatures are too low. Hold on. Possums' body temperatures are too low to have rabies.
Yeah.
Possums can reach from conception to full gestation of their young in 14 days. They're the only marsupial native to North America.
Yeah, we have different possums.
We got a lot of different.
We do.
Yeah, because you guys
we got tons of marsupials here.
Yeah, you guys got opossums. We have like possums.
We got ringtail possum and brushtail are the most common.
Yeah, possums are cute.
It's literally I'll be at a party.
Can we
not
accept the fact that I just dropped all these amazing things?
Yeah,
I have a fucking possum tattooed on my fucking leg.
It's so good.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, because like literally, it's like I'll be at a party and I had a lanyard hanging out of my pocket one time, and I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" I look down at my leg and there's just a possum looking up at me. He's like, just playing with my lanyard. I'm like, "Holy shit, you're so cute."
Hey, little fella, give him a little bit of fruit, give him a little bit of apple or something.
I gave him a pat. I was like, "Yeah, whatever," and then he just like looked at me and then he ran off, and I was like, "That's it."
So,
cheers, little fella. What else do we have in the tree? Oh, we've got
It must have been Heimdall.
The eagle.
The eagle at the top.
Because eagle is shown up a lot. A lot of people see an eagle, like in visions and in dreams and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, and that's the.
I was gonna say, Odin's also associated with eagles too, because when he's taking the mead, right, he transforms into an eagle.
Right.
He turns into an eagle. Yep. And there's also an eagle over the doorway to Valhalla, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
eagles are a big thing. We've got the
I mean, eagles have always across
pretty much every country.
Nation, like eagles are like,
at least northern hemisphere countries. It's like down here. It's like the eagles aren't really in like.
We have wedge-tailed eagle.
Yeah,
second
we
biggest.
do. But like they're not really in like, for instance, like the Aboriginal Dreamtime stories. They're not really mentioned at all, if as much. I'm not too sure. I haven't done a lot of research on it, but like they're not super like pronounced as they are in like the Norse faith, or like the Native American faith and stuff like that.
I like how Puck just ducked out.
Yeah, it just dipped. No worries.
He's like, didn't even say that. Oh, he's back.
When you need a beer.
When you need a beer. That's accurate. Well, then you've also got the two elk or the stags that eat the leaves.
Yeah,
that's true. Did we
the snakes
cover the
at the bottom
serpent?
The serpent at the bottom is
the
at the bottom.
Needhog. Needhog. Yeah.
Isn't he also?
Is he run between the eagle and Needhog?
Yes. Yeah. And also, isn't Needhog?
You said you're a bitch. Like.
It's like, hey, the Eagles told me to say "fuck you," and then he like runs back up the tree.
He's like, what's your name?
Tony. Fuck you, Tony.
Tony.
What's your name? Ezekiel. Well, fuck you, Ezekiel.
No, he
Anyway.
says Ezekiel. That name fucking sucks.
Yeah, he's like, you know what I did last night? You better not bring my.
All right, off topic.
Yeah, off topic.
We
Off topic. We all know the meme. Isn't Needhog also the one that
eats
the Forsaken?
and fucking pieces
Oathbreakers?
Yeah.
Oathbreakers and cold-blooded murderers.
Yeah.
I tell
As
you
opposed
what.
to the
Actually,
warm-blooded
someone
murderers.
asked me a really interesting question the other day about Needhog. So they were like, so he eats the murderers, right? So what happens to, the Vikings going and pillaging villages and stuff like that? If they have to kill people, are they murderers? And I'm like, well, back then.
Yeah.
Because we
I
don't have Vikings now, so to say. We have there's
but then again,
pirate and stuff like that. But
But then again, you think with something like that, it would most like murder. I mean, it's something you have to be essentially tried with. Right? It has to be something within your
yeah,
laws.
like that's the thing.
So
that
like, if you
like,
murdered somebody in your community, but like,
well, I was gonna say it's
Yeah.
like raiding at the time was almost a need for survival.
Yeah.
exactly.
So it's like I was like,
Yeah.
I just
Survival
I
of
was
the,
like,
it
look,
was just like survival of the fittest.
I was like, look, back then everyone raided everyone. There was, it wasn't just the Vikings. The Viking was a job description.
Yeah.
That you get back then for going.
Well, I
and
mean, also when you're
pillaging
when you're
villages.
taking people for slaves, and then you kill one of these slaves, that it wasn't looked at murder because
Yeah. So that's the
If
other
it's
thing
your
I said. I
slave,
said
you-
like, unless
like,
a
if I threw
slave
my
was like,
fucking TV away.
yeah, like I said as well as like, because they asked that afterwards. They said, what about slaves? And I said, well, when you think about the slaves, they didn't really like, they were still humans, but they didn't have the same human rights, so to say.
They were
Unless
like
it
a
was
cow or a horse.
Unless it was like a court
they had a
case.
lot.
Yeah, they had a lot. Like they had a lot of like good stuff, considering that they were slaves.
Yeah, slaves were treated pretty well, but like, it's
Yeah,
like if you
but
killed a slave, they were like,
Yeah.
well, we better go and get another
Yeah,
one.
it's like the only
You're
time a
slave.
slave really had like, a say in a court case was if they were a witness to what happened, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
and
like-
even then, I imagine
Yeah.
they're
But that's why I say it's like, as bad as it was back then, like they had it good considering that they were slaves, but rape and murder of a slave was not, rape and murder of a human. It was just they were a
Yeah.
slave.
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
took a dark turn from
We're talking about the dark topics
Wolves and
here.
eagles.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
Anyone else got anything to add about the animals?
Well, apart from the occurrences in nature, have you ever thought about how amazing it is that trees grow upwards?
Yeah, actually.
Unless you're in Australia
Ooh.
right now.
Yeah, everything's upside down here. So.
No. I'm still sticking by my thing that we're the top of the world. All the oil's in the northern hemisphere, which means that liquid runs downhill. So that's why you guys have the oil. We're on the top. But getting to the trees thing, it's
I
like
see.
imagine like
Hmm.
I know that like scientifically now we know it's like trees grow upwards because they want to get closer to the sun for photosynthesis and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like that is an amazing nature trait. But it also is like the way I see it is like this tree just keeps going upwards. This tree's whole life, like it'll get bits of bark shaven off it or whatever. It keeps rising.
Mm.
And it's like it's a good metaphor. Like I'm not saying it's like you get gouge taken out of you and you're permanently injured for the rest of your life and you're just like I'm gonna keep going upwards. But you should think about it that way. It was like the tree gets injured, tree gets sick or whatever. Like it will still keep growing upwards.
And
It's a good
the
metaphor for
more
life.
and the more it grows upwards, the stronger it gets.
Exactly.
The more it grows, the stronger it gets.
It also gets wide.
It's a little tornado.
It does. It also does get wide.
Wow.
Yeah, but how many
Always
fucking
be wide.
tornadoes are there in
The wide.
Scandinavia?
How many trees are there? On
A
the
lot.
planet?
A lot.
Well,
And guess what?
They're chopping down a few now.
Were we
Yeah.
talking about Scandinavia, or were we talking about the fact trees grow up?
We're talking about the
Both.
fact that trees grow up.
Trees grow up.
Exactly.
There's a lot of trees in the world, but there's starting to be less, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it's because of the bees
The bees
and inflation.
and inflation.
I was gonna say, I think it's got a little bit more to do than the bees.
Yeah. Well, no, because the bees are dying out. So pollinators, bees are one of the biggest pollinators.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So
Without bees,
we got these
screwed.
fuck ass bees in my backyard. I was like, oh, bumblebees. They're not bumblebees. They're carpenter bees. And they keep chewing into fucking wood stuff I have out there. And I'm like, what the fuck?
You know,
They're not bumblebees.
I can't remember who it was, but one of the great minds of our time said that if bees were to go extinct, that we would only have food for another 4 months after.
That was me.
Yeah, without bees, we would not be
That
able
was
to be here.
Puck said
Everything
that.
would die.
Yeah, I think it was 4 months or 4 years or something like that. But yeah, basically,
We only have tacos left.
yeah,
That's alright.
That's true.
tacos and Vegemite.
Dude.
I'm keen.
Hey, I'm keen.
Yeah, I'd be like, yeah, you can have all these tacos.
Australia would go to a war over
Yes,
Vegemite.
Mr.
They legit would, like.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like the government doesn't have to be involved. You get rid of Vegemite,
Yeah.
it's on.
Yeah. I know how, like, I know in the movies, in the Mad Max movies, they're always like, yeah, the apocalypse and the war started over oil. No, it was over Vegemite.
Yeah, wait, where's the Vegemite in Mad Max? Those guys are like, oh, we got like canned food and like we started growing our own crops. Where's your supply of Vegemite?
Vegemite never goes off.
Exactly.
That shit.
Oh, dude, I'll tell you what. Because of this offering, how I'm eating like chicken and broccoli, right? But I'm allowed to flavor the chicken.
Vegemite.
Yeah, that's one thing. I'm thinking the next marinade I do is gonna be I'm gonna smother the chicken in Vegemite and cook it like that.
Puck's like vomiting in his mouth right now.
Alright, so with all that said, does anyone else have anything to top up on nature while I change my beverage and switch over to a good old Bundy rum?
A Bundy rum.
Cane Cutter's cordial.
Are you done?
No.
No?
Get fucked.
So I have something. So lately I've been watching these videos. And there's a documentary on Netflix called Missing 411. And it's about, and there's a few people that cover them. Mr. Ballin, shout out, check it out.
Yes.
On YouTube.
He's so good.
So the whole thing is there are people around the world. The guy that's investigating it or, researching it is a retired detective. Don't know his name off the top of my head. I can't remember. Sorry. Fuck me. People around the world will be in the woods. It's always in the woods, right? And people will just go missing. Like if we were talking right now in person and like I turned around to grab another beer and I turned back and I was like, where the fuck Luke go? Like just gone,
Fiddlesticks
right?
League of Legends, bro.
Whatever the fuck that is. And just gone, right? And people were like, maybe they went to go take a piss or something. And then like they look around, they're like, where the fuck they go? Like they're gone. Well, so people go missing, and then they'll turn up a couple days later, or people will find them a few days later, or even there's been reports of people showing up like almost over a year later.
And like super far away too, like 20 miles from like where they went missing or some shit like that.
Or they'll either be fucking. There was a guy that showed up like on the other side of the country.
Yeah.
Like 4 days later. Or they'll show up like literally like a search party will form and they'll search an area, and then all of a sudden like somebody else shows up and that person's like where it was already searched, like somewhere that's like super obvious, and they're like, "What are y'all looking for?" And so they go missing and they have no recollection, or sometimes they remember like being in the woods, getting separated, or like not recognizing where they were, but like there being entities or
creatures,
things. Yeah, things that they could see or make out, but they could never. They would go think it was a person, and they go to walk to them, and like they'd be gone, or they'd hide from them. And the biggest thing that comes to me is like land Vatir or the whites or land spirits, and it kind of, I don't know how you guys think, but to me it's kind of like when you do go into woods, there should be a certain level of respect and responsibility.
Always,
you know, when 100%. You're in the world. And when I hear these stories, like obviously the average guy, like they're just gonna be like weird, and me, I'm like, you know, I get the pagan wheel spinning. What do you guys think about that one?
Well, I 100% agree.
Yeah, so it's like when me and Luke went to our gathering, and like even when I go to just general camp trips, I always, you know, welcome the Landvatir into the area, and like, you know,
thank them for letting us
use the area, sort of thing, because like it may not be a requirement. I don't know. I'm not willing to risk it, so to say. But also, it's just a respecting. You don't walk into someone's home and just be like,
go straight to the fridge.
I'm here, bruh.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
what's up, bitch?
And
yeah, exactly.
Rick James their couch.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And when we went to the first gathering, we did welcome the Landvatir. We, you know, thanked them for, like, you know, letting us use like the land and things like that. But like when you're like in the woods overnight, you hear some crazy sounds. Like
and sometimes it's not the possums.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not the possums, or you'll hear something like in the distance in the woods, and you're like, that doesn't sound like any animal that I can think of that made that noise.
Well, I mean, and like definitely like fucking I forgot.
Definitely.
No, I was waiting for you to finish. I was waiting for you to finish, and I had it all. So people automatically assume like, oh, Landvatir, happy little elves and fucking gnomes and shit, right? Like the shit you see in somebody's garden, like little gnomes with a wheelbarrow and their fucking ass out or something. But when you look at like Scandinavian folklore and things like that, like,
oh yeah,
there are things in the woods that just are not good, like are bad, like trolls and fucking certain spirits in the woods and elves and shit. Like there are things that are like,
yeah,
like in the folklore are like, get the fuck out of the woods. Be cognizant, like these things are there. You know, we've spoken to a few Scandinavians that are like, yeah, like it's 100% like if you see these signs or you think like this is there, like, go the fuck away, like, you know.
Yeah. Well, like even like if we like even not from like a Norse paganism, you know, Scandinavian folklore perspective, like look at like in America and Australia and stuff. So like in America, you have like the fucking chupacabra and the Wendigo,
Wendigos, bruh,
and stuff. And like in Australia, what do we got? The bunyip.
We got the bunyip and the
well, the bunyip's like a fucking Bigfoot, right?
Oh,
yes,
but I have to look up what it's called. There's another one.
Roo-man.
Roo-man.
Roo-cunt.
Oh shit! Are we allowed to say the big C on our podcast?
You're Australian.
Send it.
But yeah, you look at like,
are you?
You throwing that out, are you?
Oh shit! Take it.
You but yeah, you think of like the chupacabra and Wendigo and like Bigfoot. Like those stories had to come from somewhere, and
the Dover Demon.
And people say they've seen Wendigos and stuff, and they have like accurate tales of seeing them. So I'm like, it can't all be from like nowhere, because like lots of different people have stories about the Wendigo, and they all are pretty similar, you know.
Well, we can go back to Mr. Ballin on that one. He's got an episode out there again about very tip top of Canada. A whole bunch of like old timey gold miners would go there, and it's a really remote spot to go out to. But literally everyone would disappear or just go batshit crazy, and all that's left behind are nothing but bodies.
Wait,
No one
hold
knows
up.
why.
He's got an episode on. He's got an episode on Wendigos.
He actually does. Yeah, he's also got one on Skinwalker Ranch too.
Watching it. Well, yeah, and then there's also the thing of like, I guess we're airing. I guess we're gonna promote another fucking YouTuber on our YouTube. But,
Yeah.
So Mr. Bond, he did one where he was talking about I can't remember where it was, and it was like during the gold rush, and it was like in this canyon, and they call it like the Headless Man Canyon or some shit, where these like people go there to gold mine. They're coming in there in this super remote place, right? Like even like the natives in that area do not go there.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah, the exact same one.
Yes. And so they go there to plunder gold, right? And they fucking start taking gold and they're getting all this fucking gold and everything, and they're taking all this gold and they're gonna take from the land. And obviously they're just take with no intent of like giving back. And we all know what somebody in that mindset is. They're probably just like, fuck this, like chopping shit down, fucking this place up, right? And nobody heard from these guys. And they're like, well, they're doing really good with gold hunting. And nobody heard from them for like a couple of years. And they're like, what the fuck? Let's go look. And they look and they find their bodies like fucking decapitated. Their little cabin and camp burnt down. Well, it happened like multiple times. Exact same fucking thing. And then there was like another fucking situation where some guy was there and there was people camping and this girl went missing. And there was another guy camping further down the river, and he's like, "You're looking for somebody?" And they're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I saw a lady, a like bone white lady, right? And it was in like kind of like a native territory, right? So not necessarily white people." And so this guy's like, "Yeah, who else could it have fucking been? We're in the middle of the fucking wilderness in Canada. There's a fucking white lady, butt ass naked, fucking running on all fours up this mountainside." And she stopped and looked
Like
at me. It was just like in a
like a
daze
steep
and ran into some
like
fucking
something
cave
that
or
a
something.
human shouldn't climb up, and she climbs up it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it almost makes you think like
What?
land spirits or something like taking a hold of people, but spooky.
What I take from that, to bring it back to Norse paganism, what I take from that is the fact that Lampeter shouldn't be taken advantage of, and it should be taken very seriously because those are some powerful freaking entities. Because I mean, literally, there was a law for back in the good old Viking days. If you're coming into shore, to either cover up the head of your longship,
your fucking figurehead,
Yeah.
or take it off, because that's the only thing that they could find that would actually intimidate other Lampeter would be a dragon. And if a dragon is the only thing that will intimidate the Lampeter, that's some powerful shit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know a whole
So
a lot of it. That's what I'm getting.
So this is kind of straying away from the Landvertier aspect, but Cody, I know me and you have spoken about it before, but I personally think, just because of how many stories we have of them, I think dragons at some point were real. And we just hunted them to extinction,
it took me a while to figure out, but it's called the Namorodor.
Yeah.
If I'm saying that right, that's the Australian creature.
Yeah.
I believe that dragons were either real or they were very spiritually real, because if you look at everywhere in history, especially in the ancient times,
somewhere there's a dragon.
They existed. Yeah, somewhere there's a dragon. They existed everywhere, so that tells me they were at least spiritually real.
Every culture, well, no, I wouldn't say every culture, but like a lot of cultures,
pretty much every culture
has a dragon in it. Yeah.
Well, like
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
I said, fucking like when I was talking about earlier about humans and Jotuns and them possibly being just remnants of like Neanderthals and things like that. Who's to say like somewhere in the world like some fucking dinosaurs didn't survive? Like fucking whatever.
Yeah.
Is it a dragon? Is it a
Yeah,
dinosaur?
the crocodiles.
Are dragons a dinosaur? Or dinosaurs a dragon? Like,
yeah, could have. Crocodiles survived. Could have been a pterodactyl or something.
Shark survived.
I mean, of course. Then again, when you come back, like we talked about, you go 50 miles away from your home back then, and you were in like uncharted territory. you go to like another country and you come back like 4 years later, you're like, yeah, like this crocodile head, and like it was blowing fucking fire, and you might have found it on the side of the fucking riverbank, and you'd be like, yeah, fucking man, this thing, let me fucking tell you, boy, I'm so fucking badass.
Yeah.
I hit you with so many lefts, you'd be begging for it.
Well,
Yeah.
even to this day, I mean, I don't know the exact percentages, but I believe we only have like an estimated like around 40% of what actually exists on the planet discovered.
Mm.
Something like that, yeah. So we know about more about space than we do about our own ocean and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. True.
Oh, I got a theory about that, but we won't go into that.
All right.
But yeah, so I think the big takeaway on spooky discussion about like, you know, people going missing and stuff in the woods is like, don't get the you know, the wholehearted fucking idea that like, I'm a pagan, I'm in the woods, I belong everywhere, I'm welcome everywhere. Like, always remember, we're products of the earth.
Territory now.
Yeah, like we're products of the earth, but we're always a guest.
You are always in somebody else's home.
Yeah.
Even in a house
like,
that
like
you move into.
Like I said, like sometimes there's just places where you shouldn't be. Like if you go somewhere and it feels fucking bad, like
get out of there.
Listen to your fucking gut. Like,
and I think too, like a lot of people don't realize that like once you like step out of your like home, once you like kind of like step out of civilization, so to speak, you are no longer anywhere near the top of the food chain.
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
You're not going to
you're
the
at the top of the
store.
food chain when you have spears, bows, and weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least down here, we don't have a lot of that.
I mean, in Australia, you could have a fucking tank and you're still not top of the food chain. You know?
Yeah. The magpies will still get you.
Fucking drop bears.
Oh, dude, not the drop bears. They'll get you.
Oh, the drop bears.
They'll get you. The Tasmanian devils.
They stalk you at night. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Is there anything else we'd like to touch on nature related, or is that it for this episode, boys?
I can't think of anything personally.
I think I'm gonna fucking drink a few more beers. I'm gonna meander off.
All I'm gonna say to finish this off then is like, despite what we've said about going into nature and how you're not the top of the food chain, go into nature. Go into nature. You know, give thanks to the Landvertier, and you know you'll have a good time. Most likely.
Yeah. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't be an idiot and camp next to, like, you know, if you're in Australia, don't camp next to a wombat hole. If you're in the US or Canada, don't camp near a wolf den. Like, you know, it's
or a Wendigo.
Yeah, or like you know, get hunted by them.
But yes, go outside. Go into nature. We were supposed to live in nature.
Look around you, what in nature relates to your daily lives. It's like, you know, you might look at a bridge and be like, wow, that bridge is, you know, the structure of that bridge looks like that tree over there. It could have been an inspiration for it.
If you go in nature, leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
and yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll end off the episode there, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Bit of a cross-topic episode because we had so many segues, but you know it is what it is. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Catches.
So, yeah.
Bye.